Hello, welcome to my channel. At first impressions, very exciting as always. Wearing my Steve Jobs shirt, which you will see in many a video because it's become my new favorite shirt. But today I realized I look like Steve Jobs and or a priest perhaps when I wear it. So anyway, take that as you will. Blend Bunny released their All Done Up palette a while ago. Can't remember when, but I haven't been buying a lot, but when this released, it was like no thoughts, just buy, just buy. As you know, I'm obsessed with Blend Bunny. I absolutely adore all of the products or all of the palettes that I have from them, and this is what the palette looks like. Just perfect for fall. Can you even tell me that this is not the most beautiful neutral fall palette? You can't. So here's the thing. I know that a lot of people are like maybe they want to see Blend Bunny do new things, perhaps. Am I even filming? Yes. Okay. I understand that. I understand that because yeah, they do like light, mid-tone, deep, you know, in terms of their layout all the time for like all of their palettes, and I could totally see how that might be a little bit redundant. However, for me, it's just absolute perfection. I can't even begin to tell you because it is exactly the way that I prefer to blend my shadows and use my shadows, and if I had it my way, Blend Bunny would literally never change their format, because for me and how I, you know, my makeup preferences and my style and whatever, it's literally like I could not have come up with better concepts, better color stories like myself. It's just everything to me, so I will never complain about that. Although I do understand that criticism. And then I also in this order bought, and I have used this a couple times, the Noctilucent palette. Their highlighter palette, and I have to say I've been loving every single second of it. I've used actually a good amount of shades. I've used 3. I've used this Phenomena shade, this shade Dreamlike, and the shade Apparition. And oh my god, they're so beautiful. I was watching someone, and I can't remember who, but it might have been Amy Loves Makeup, I'm not sure, but they described it as being like basically Fenty Diamond Bomb in like colors, and to me that sounded like a dream, and I have to agree. I really do think that this is that is what these highlighters are like. They're very glitzy for sure, but they don't have a super opaque base, so it really just gives you like a glossy, beautiful look. But if you don't like colored highlighters and you don't like sparkly highlighters, you won't like this. But if you like Fenty Diamond Bomb and the idea of having like a colored Fenty Diamond Bomb excites you like it excites me, this has been a dream to use so far. So as always, let's do some live swatches because I just like to do them. I haven't even swatched this yet. I've held myself back. I can't really see what I'm doing, so let's just really hope and pray that everything's in line with the camera. Okay, cool. So let's just start out with the shades. Okay, anyway, I'm a little bit scatterbrained today. So first is the shade Knockout, which is a matte white. You know how I feel about matte whites. I personally am not a huge fan of them, but I know some people are. Then we have the shade Vision, which is a very pastel, like minty green. Then we have the shade Features, which is a muted yellow. As always, their pastels are quite pastel. Sometimes I feel like they could go like a little bit more with the saturation. Then we have the shade Close Up. I don't know where the scratch on my arm came from. Please excuse that. This is a very light peach. And then the shade Natural, which is a taupe. Very light taupe. Basically also kind of like a beige. Okay, cool. So this is the very first row. Not that you probably will be able to even see it on my skin tone. Then we have the second row, which is the shade The Look, which looks gray in the pan, but I think after swatching it, it is a little bit more purple, like a grayed out lilac almost. It's actually really quite pretty. Then we have the shade Muse, which is a like grayed out mossy green, I want to say. And then we have this shade Unexpected, which is a glorious mustard. And we have the shade Pouty, which is a like mid-toned warm brown. And the shade Transform, which is a neutral mid-toned brown. Then we have the row of deep mattes, the shade Smokin', which I believe is a matte black. It looks like a matte black. I'm never going to complain about that. Then we have Shapely, which is a dark green. Then Doe-Eyed, which is a dark matte neutral brown. They're not swatching the best. My skin's a little bit dry, but obviously, like I typically do, I will do eye swatches, so that'll probably better show how they perform. And then then we have the shade Ready, which is a like red toned, that's really pretty, a red toned brown, like purpley brown. And then last of the mattes is the shade Goddess, which is a neutral brown. Lovely. And then the last row is a row of shimmers. This is the shade Accentuate, which is a not super opaque, a little bit more sheer like silver. Then we have the shade Shine, which looks really pretty. It's a it has like a green shine to it with almost like a pink undertone. Oh my gosh, I thought I could include all of, I'm gonna make it through. We'll fit the whole palette. Then we have the shade Centerfold, which is a gold. I feel like Blend Bunny just keeps improving their shimmers with each palette because these feel like the best so far. Then we have the shade Wink, which is a light, super sparkly pink. And then the shade Starlit is a like olivey gold. That's beautiful. Most of these shimmers, I would say, don't feel as like creamy and thick. They feel a little bit, I don't want to say like softer, but they're not like as dense almost, and they're super sparkly. They're really, really beautiful. So this is the palette all swatched out as a whole. Honestly, I'm a fan. I think it's a really, really pretty like neutral palette with a little bit, you know, of some interesting shade choices. I am going to now go into some individual up close swatches as well as some eye swatches, and then we will do a little look. hello, welcome to the eye swatching portion of the video of the All Done Up palette. If you haven't seen one of these if you've never seen me do eye swatches before, I have my little arsenal of brushes. They're not the same, they're mostly clean, but it gets the job done. And I prime my eyes with the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base every time, although it's not like super tacky or doesn't have really any coverage. It just, I don't know, I find help shades going a little bit smoother. And yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna start with the first shade in the palette called Knockout, which is a matte white. And Blend Bunny does not have shade descriptions for this palette, so it's all up to me. Anyway, this is the shade Knockout. Okay, and that's the shade Knockout. Pretty good, I feel, for a matte white. It did collect a little bit here, but I just didn't pat out any of the oils, I guess, that were on my eye from having it open, but otherwise I think it's pretty good. And the next shade is the shade Vision, which is this like little very light minty color. This time I'll make sure that there's no little oils. And that's Vision. So you can see very close to white. Like very close. Slightly green, but yeah. Otherwise it applied fine. Okay, so the next shade is the shade Features, which is a very light yellow. So yeah, again, so light, like basically off-white with a hint of yellow. Otherwise it applies fine, but I always feel like Blend Bunny's pastels could be just like a touch more saturated. And then the shade Close Up, which is a very light peach. Okay, again, same thing to report, applied really well, super light. Okay, the next shade up is the last shade in the first row, the shade Natural, which is a very light taupe. Okay, so I think it's giving the shade too much credit to call it a light taupe. It's a beige, and it's basically the color of my skin tone, which means it's basically white. It's an off-white beige. So there's that. And then now moving on to the second row, I'm going to now do the shade The Look, which is, it looks like a gray in the pan, but I think it's more purpley. Okay, and this is the shade The Look. So yeah, it's like a gray purple kind of shade. I think it's really nice. It's pretty unique. Yeah, and I like it. Went on beautifully. All right, now moving on to the shade Muse, which is this like teal. I feel like it's like a mossy, tealy kind of shade. I don't know. I feel like it's pretty unique. Okay, so this is Muse. I really like how it builds. I think it's a really unique color. No complaints, very into it. And then we have the shade Unexpected, which is a gorgeous mustard. I love this shade. It's so smooth, so opaque, and these two would make such a nice pair as well. Ugh, I love a mustard, you know me. No! Fuck. I just did these two shades and I wasn't filming, so I guess I'll go fuck myself and do them again. So now I'm going to take the shade Pouty, which is a warm brown. From past experience, I can already tell you this is super nice. I'm so annoyed. But anyway, positive vibes, positive vibes. And then I'm going to take the shade Transform on this side, which is like an olivey, muted olivey color. It's really, really pretty. I mean, look at that. Such a gorgeous color. Are you kidding? Oh my god, I thought wasn't filming. You know what? I don't have the heart to take this off. I've swatched a Blend Bunny matte black before. It goes on beautifully. Okay, you can see this is what it looks like. I am literally so mad at myself. I don't know why I keep forgetting to press the record button. But at least it was just a matte black. Okay, I think we can all... This is what the end swatch looks like. Anyway, okay. Now I'm going to take the shade Shapely, which is the darker kind of green. Darker kind of green. It's a darker, like, mossy green. I'm recording. Oh my god, I'm so annoying. Stunning. Look at that color. Oh, so pretty. Okay, recording for sure. Now I'm going to take the shade Ready, which is a beautiful, almost like burgundy shade. So I'm taking... Look at that. That's like a beautiful, like, burgundy plum. Oh my god. Look at how it applied. It's so dark, so opaque, so beautiful. I'm honestly, I just love it. I love it so much. And then I'm going to take the shade Goddess, which is a darker olive. I mean, again, it's not even a dark olive, really. It kind of looks that way in the pan, but it's more just like a dark, really, almost cool toned brown. I love both of these shades so incredibly much. Okay, and as you can see, the shade Ready, that, like, Ready Plum, stained my lid slightly. Not entirely surprising. You can see it, just thought I would note it. Now we're moving on to the shimmers. So I'm going to first start with the shade Accentuate, this beautiful silver. As I typically do when swatching shimmers, I'm first going to start out just with the dry brush, just to see how they do by themselves. That work went on honestly super pretty, super sparkly. Now I'm going to take that and give that a spray to see how it applies wet. This is honestly just water. So I'm just going to layer this over the top. Gorgeous. And then take that on my finger. And then you can really build it up. So I feel like you could do this sheer or build it up to be super opaque. And then now I'm going to take the shade Shine, which honestly, I have a difficult time describing it. I think it's like a green shimmer with like a pinky undertone. So going in with this dry. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. A very like light green shimmer. I think really good for like topping as well. But there's definitely a pinky like undertone to this. Wetting that, putting that on my lid to build it up. This one is a little bit sheerer, I want to say, and then I'm going to use my finger, intensify it. Really pretty though. Okay, so now I'm going to take the shade Centerfold, this beautiful gold. Again, going in with it dry. This one is a little bit more opaque, I think, than the first two. So pretty. Now, spray. And layer. I mean, look at that. And then, finger. So we can get it super bright and super opaque. Absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm going to take the shade Wink, which is a light pink. Looks very flaky. Nice. Yeah, quite sparkly, a little sheer. Now I'm going to take this wet and layer it over the top. And then take this on my finger. Yeah, really nice. A nice little icy pink sparkly shade. Okay. Now I'm going to take the shade Starlit. And I do realize that I forgot to take Doe Eyed. So I'm going to do that in my other eye. But first I'm going to take Starlit, which is the last of the shimmers. I was like, I should end with 2 shades on my eyes because this is a 20-pan palette. But anyway, I figured out the problem. So this is like an olivey kind of gold. I'm really into the shades in this palette, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I don't even need to say anything. Taking it wet. And then taking it on my finger. Look at that. Look at that. Ugh. And then taking the shade Doe Eyed. I'm happy I remembered this though. Which is just a neutral matte brown. So you can see super dark, super opaque, almost black, lovely. And that ends this eye swatching portion of the video. You know what, while we're here, I also thought why not do some little face swatches of the Noctilucent palette because it could be helpful. I'm not wearing makeup right now, like base makeup, but I don't know, might be in like a nice reference. So this is the shade Far Out, which is supposed to be the like purpley shade. I haven't used this. And this is just on a Real Techniques setting brush. This is what I use for like all of my highlights. So you can see, you can't really see it from the front, and then when I turn my head, you can see that like purpley blue. So pretty. And I'm just going to wipe it off as best I can. And then the next shade is the shade Phenomena, which I have used. This is like a pinky, peachy shade. So it's pink. You can see again, not really any like cast from the front, and then when I turn my head, it's pink. Okay, so now I'm going to take the shade Dreamlike, which I was skeptical because it's like a pink with like a gold shift, but it also obviously is a deeper base. But I find that I can use this without really much of an issue, especially when I have base makeup on. So you can see there's like a little bit of a gold cast, but nothing bad at all, honestly. Nothing super noticeable, even on bare skin, which I think is really great. And then we have the shade Enlighten, which I used in my first impressions. This is like a greeny gold. With this, there is also, well, maybe not. There's maybe a touch of a cast, almost like a pinky cast, but nothing noticeable at all. And then the last two shades, we have the shade Transient, which is supposed to be a green. It has like a green blue, it looks like in the pan. There's a little bit of pink shimmer on my face, but honestly, I can't get it off, so. And again, really no cast at all. And then the green. That's so... I find green highlighters are difficult. They always kind of make you look a little weird. And then the last shade, which I have used and loved, is the shade Apparition. And this is a blue. I love this. It might be coming from my Fenty Chills, which you know I love so much. But look at that. So pretty. And again, no cast, and then blue. Ugh, I love this highlighter palette. I love it. Okay. Now let's do a little look. I want to do a halo eye, and I want to use both this row here and this last row. That's my plan. So I'm going to start with the shade Shapely, which is this deepest green. I'm going to stamp this on my very outer corner and halfway through my crease. And I've primed my eyes with a NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, and I have not set my lids, if you were wondering. I do like that Blend Bunny is going like this size. I think this is a really good size. I like their bigger palettes, but I think, you know, switching up with size is good because not everyone, you know, loves to have the 28 pan or whatever their other palettes were. How many shades even is this? 20. I feel like 20 shades is a really good amount of shades. And then I'm going to take the shade Goddess right here. and put this on the inner part of my eye. Same thing, stamping it on the inner part and then connecting it in the center. This looks really opaque. Apparently, I have a bizarre dry patch of skin right in the center of my eye. Not sure what that's about. Didn't know that was even there. So please ignore that. It looks super fucking weird. Now I'm going to take the shade Muse. And I'm going to blend out the outer edges. Blending out the edges of the shade Shapely that I put down on the outer part. I'm actually going to use a good amount of Blend Bunny brushes. I don't normally talk about brushes because I don't have a ton, but this is a Blend Bunny B1. And then I'm going to take the shade Transform and use this to blend out the inner part. And this like taupey brown has, I think, a good amount of green to it. It's almost like a light olive with a lot of brown to it. So I feel like these two tones will work together well because they're both pretty green. And then I'm going to take the shade Vision, which is this very light green, and use that to blend the edges out of the outer part of my eye. And I will say as well that today my eyelids are dry as fuck, so any eyeshadow that can perform remotely well will be a good one, because I'm not making any eyeshadows light easy at all. And then I'm going to take the shade Natural, which is this beige, and blend out the inner part. Now for my lids, I'm going to take the shade Starlit on the outer part and the shade Centerfold on the inner, very inner part, I think. But first I'm going to take some NYX Glitter Primer and put this right in the center of my eye. So first I'm going to take Starlit, which is that olivey green, and put that in the outer part. I usually start with the lightest shade, so that's my bad, but put this in the outer and inner parts of my eyes, the center of my lid. That's really pretty, goes on amazing. Again, I think these are the best metallics that I've used from Blend Bunny. I feel like I say that every time I use a new palette from them because they just keep improving their shimmer formula. And then taking Centerfold, putting it right in the center. Okay, I'm quickly just going to do that on my other eye. Now I'm going to take just a little bit more of the shade Shapely, just blend this into the shimmer. And I also just want to make sure that I didn't lose any of the depth in my outer corner and that the shape's all good after blending and stuff like that. And then same thing with the shade Goddess, which was in my inner corner, the inner part of my eye. And then I'm going to take Muse, blend this over, also blend it over the center, and then doing the same thing with the shade Transform. Okay, now that everything's blended again, I'm going to take the shade Smokin', which is the matte black, and I'm going to put this just right in the inner and outer parts of my eye. And then I'm going to take Centerfold and Starlit on my fingers and tap them over where I laid them down, and then also lightly over the edges. And then tap Centerfold in the center. And then I might go back in with the very lightest mattes again and ever so slightly blend the edges, but I don't want to blend too much. And then I'm going to take the shade Shine, put this on my brow bone. Oh yeah, that looks quite green. Maybe I'll take a little bit of that shade as well and tap it just in the center. Just for shits and gigs. Oh, that's really pretty. Oh, that's gorgeous. Honestly, this paired with Centerfold looks a lot like Lime Chrome from the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I gotta say. That's so, so pretty. I'm so glad I did that. And then before I go in with, or go do my lower lash line, I'm gonna do some highlighter. Why not? Let's do some highlighter together. And I'm gonna use the shade Enlighten. This is like a goldy green shade, which is kind of perfect. We'll apply it together. Oh, look at that. Look at that shine. That is stunning. Maybe a little bit of a gray cast or like a greeny cast, but I haven't fully blended it out yet, and I also still have to put blush on, so even you can probably see just from putting it on my forehead, like very sheer and sparkly. So this is what it looks like right now. I'm just gonna quickly go and do some blush. Okay, so I put blush on. This is what it looks like now. Underneath blush. See, it doesn't look, and I'm like fairest of the fair, it doesn't look overly, like obviously you can see I'm wearing a colored highlighter, but I don't think it looks overly like casty. It blends in with my skin, but you can still see the shine when I turn my head. Maybe not the best for like Cupid's bow, but I find that it kind of goes away when I put my lip shade on anyway. And for reference, if you're curious, I used Burt's Bees Blush in Toasted Cinnamon. Now let's just finish up my lower lash line and we can conclude this look in this video. So I'm first going to start with the shade Shapely and tap this on the outer part of my eye, and then taking Goddess in the front part and then blend them out with the corresponding shade. So taking Muse, blending out the shade Shapely, and then taking Transform, and then taking Vision and Natural and blending slightly. And then before I go in with any shimmers, I'm going to take the shade Smokin', which was the black, and just put that on the very inner and outer parts of my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take Starlit and Centerfold the shimmers, put them in, taking Starlit, putting it in the inner and outer parts, and I sprayed it just so it sticks. I just love doing this with halo eyes. And then taking Centerfold in the center. And then I'll take a little tiny bit of the shade Shine and tap that over the center as well. Oh, I love this eye look. It's not necessarily the most unique thing I've ever done, but I think it's so pretty. So I'm going to finish up my face, put my lashes on, do my lips, and then show you the finished look. Okay, and this is the finished look. I love it. I love it. I think this palette is so, so nice. On my lips, I have the NYX lip liner in Espresso with the NYX Blade Matte lip liner in Sandstorm and the Merit Signature Lip Lightweight Lipstick in the shade Slip. Just a little bit though. It's mostly the lip liners. My thoughts on the palette are that it's gorgeous and I love it. I think that if you're looking for a palette that you can use for every day and have some like interesting colors but not too crazy, I think that this is such a beautiful palette and can be so easily an everyday palette. Honestly, more easy, I feel like, to make an everyday palette even than like the Dollhouse palette, which is their like current neutral-esque palette, because I feel like there's still like a good amount of colors in here. Maybe you don't want these like deeper shimmers, I don't know, but I think that this is a really great option that they are offering now. I don't know. I feel like there's not that much to say, but there's so much to say. I think that this is one of my absolute favorite palettes that they've come out with so far. I'm so smitten with this color story. I think it has the perfect amount of grunge, such beautiful fall tones. I love these shimmers. I think they're easily the best shimmers Blend Bunny has done, truly. And I'm just so enamored with this palette. And I think if you love color, you'll like this. If you are a neutral wearer exclusively, I think you'll like this still. I think it's versatile. I love Blend Bunny's formula. From what I've used so far, it feels exactly the same as what I'm used to. So easy to blend. Every time I do a look with Blend Bunny shadows, it takes me like half the time like a normal look would. And also the highlighter palette, I am so happy that I decided to buy this. Okay, my camera battery died while I was talking about this highlighter palette, but I basically was saying I'm so happy I bought it. I have reached for it every time I've done my makeup since, and I think it is the perfect little like colorful highlighter palette. I truly do feel like it has like a true transparent base, and I honestly think it would work for pretty much everyone. No matter what though, you are going to get like a colorful highlighter. Each of these has a distinct color. There's not really any like neutral ones. This is like gold, but it's like quite a yellow gold, greeny gold, you know, so it's still like a statement, and I don't have a problem with that. But you know, you have to be into colored, textured, like shiny highlights to like this. But if that's what you're looking for, I think you will not be disappointed. I can even use the shade Dreamlike, which I would never have guessed, but it, with it sheared out and a like blush and bronzer and stuff on, I have no issues using it. So I really do think it's super versatile, and I'm just so excited every time Blend Bunny comes out with something. I adore the brand, and I have had nothing but an amazing time using these products, and I have no regrets at all. As usual, it's going to be up to, you know, whether you like colors, the color story, whether you are in the, you know, market for a neutral palette or anything like that. It's not necessarily a revolutionary color story by any means, but if you like the colors and you are in the mood for like a fall kind of like neutral-esque, neutral with a little bit of a twist color story, I think it's divine, but also something that you could probably shop your stash for. So, you know, keep that in mind as well. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the palette if you have it, or if you don't, what are your general thoughts on it? Would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate it so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.